Well, thanks so much for choosing to join us here today. I know in this busy, crazy world, it seems sometimes we really have to prioritize our time. And I always appreciate when you choose to spend your time with us. And because of that, I always want to make sure you get some value, something that's going to enhance your life in some way. And today, this really caught my attention. I thought, I got to get this guy on to talk about this. We're going to be meeting with Spencer Howard about negotiating points and rewards to enhance your life and business. It's something I know seems overwhelming to a lot of people. Some people think it's a pain and not worth it. You're going to get all of the download secrets here today about how to do it effectively. So, welcome, Spencer. It's great to have you.
Thanks so much for having me.
And for those of you who may not know or have heard of him, Spencer Howard is a credit card loyalty program and travel rewards expert. And I thought, wow, what an interesting niche that is. And he's founder of Straight to the Points. It's a go-to resource for individuals who are looking to demystify the credit card point system. God knows I've lost a gazillion of them over
Yeah.
the years, so that they can experience traveling in luxury for business or pleasure or both if you're lucky. And he believes everyone deserves to fly business class, and he's on a journey to help people make that happen. So let's jump in, Spencer. Like, how did you come to this work? It is such a specialized niche.
Yeah, it's definitely niche. Yeah, I worked in politics for years, which is not the normal path to this, I guess, but
Yeah.
it just stemmed from a hobby. I've
Yeah.
learned about it on a website, saw that this was like a way that I could potentially fly business class because I wasn't about to spend, $8,000 on tickets to go to Europe. I mean, hey, if you can, that's great, but I was not in a position to
Yeah.
do that, especially not regularly. And so I just saw it as this opportunity for me. And I think while most people take a casual interest, I decided to spend 4 hours a night reading about airline routing rules and credit card terms and conditions. And yeah,
Wow.
that was about 6 months of my life, and then I started writing about it, and here it
Yeah.
just kind of kept going. So here we
I
are.
love it. I love it. And I think, like I say, I'm truly, sort of interested. I got a little pad and pen here to take notes
Yeah,
myself, listen to the episode again. I can't think of how many times because like you save and save and save, which sometimes they end up declining in value over time, but
yeah,
also at least two that come to mind right off the top of my head where I had over a couple 100,000 points that would have done a ton. And then I got into an issue with the credit card company, ended up letting the credit card lapse and lost all of those points having done nothing with them. So
yeah,
why don't we start with some myth busting? Like I think, a lot of business owners see credit cards as just, a piece of plastic, right? This is something I
yeah,
need to pay my bills. I know you see them as a really valuable business tool. So enlighten
yeah,
us.
yeah. Tool's a good word. I think it's another tool in the tool belt, whether it's personal spend or business spend. To me, it's you're going to do it anyway. You may as well get something back for it. I was not really into credit cards at all until I found the kind of the ability to use points for
Yeah.
travel. I just use a debit card thinking, well, I'm not gonna spend more than I have,
Yeah.
so why do I care? I still operate like that. I just now get something back in
Yeah.
return. So I think there's this idea that it's just a card. Like who cares? But that's because people don't see where the value is in the
Yeah.
points. It's very amorphous. And I think also people are concerned about their credit scores. I know, and it differs depending on what country you're in, like how that's calculated. But here in the US, like having more credit cards doesn't necessarily hurt you as long as you're paying
Yeah.
everything off on time. I
Yeah.
assume that's probably similar in most countries.
Absolutely.
So I think the fear is one of the big myths. I also think that when it comes to points and miles, people think you have to be like a frequent flyer who's traveling for work all the time. And
Yeah.
to earn points that way. I mean, like it's great, but it's also not as common as it used to be. Airlines have really moved into partnerships with banks to try to capture your spend in different ways. So now it's not just for people who are on the road all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Now, I know a lot of people, business owners and beyond, frankly, think that cashback cards are going to be a better option for them. I'd love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think if you don't care about travel, absolutely. I mean, like, there's no point in points unless you're actually going to use them
Yeah.
to travel. So if you're not into it, that's great. Like, go get a cashback card, keep your life simple. But especially if you want to travel in business or first class, the number of points you're going to need will be far fewer than the like cashback you're going to need to
Got
earn
it.
to get the same flight. So it's just going to take you so much longer to kind of use the cash back to get business or first class flights, especially on international routes. So to me, it's just kind of an expedited way of getting me
Yeah.
to what I want.
Well, and let's talk a bit about strategy on that, right? So, like, do you have hot tips for us on
Yeah.
do we develop a credit card strategy? Because
Yep.
oh, you speak about them being a gold mine of untapped potential. So, in
Yeah.
concrete terms, what can our listeners do to
Sure.
getting strategies in place around that?
So I always like to preface it that I'm speaking from the American perspective. We have a lot more options here than other countries, though
Yeah.
Canada and Australia and some others have decent options as well.
Okay.
So for me, it's just deciding how into it you want to get.
Yeah.
I think kind of beginning with the end in mind helps. So there's the kind of like keep it simple, get 1 to 3 cards, never think about it again approach. I think a lot of people like that approach. It's
Yeah.
just a slower way to earn points. So you want to make sure you're getting a few cards that have bonus categories that match up with where you're spending. So if you go to grocery stores or you go to restaurants or whatever it is, like matching up bonus categories so you're earning more than 1 point per dollar.
Yeah.
That's really an important part of that strategy. I think a common one in our space of points and miles is the like get 4 to 6 cards again in the US
Yeah.
and then supplement with a new card to get sign up bonuses every so often.
Ah,
I always remind people that you're never going to earn points faster than when you get a sign up bonus.
that's true.
Um, and then there's the kind of maximalist approach for those who dive deep in. And it's basically you get a card, you get a sign up bonus, and then you find a new card to get another sign up bonus. And you just repeat. That's
Yeah.
easier in the US because we have so many credit cards.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's again, it's about your level of interest. And in a sense, it's a choose your own adventure game. You get to decide how you play it.
Yeah.
Just kind of depends on your time, energy, and interest.
Well, and let's talk about it. I imagine that some people find the idea of tracking all of this kind of intimidating, right? So how time consuming is it for the average? Like if our listeners are like, God, I'd love to use all those points effectively and be able
Yeah.
to be more intentional about it. How challenging would that be for the average person?
Yeah, I think the initial it's almost like the setup is the toughest part. Figuring out how you're going to approach things, understanding the basics of everything. Like it's front loaded. Once you
Yeah.
kind of get the basics, it's just using the same kind of process to learn the same or new things. So it
Yeah.
it goes faster and faster.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot like any skill.
Yeah.
I played baseball for a long time, like into college, and
Yeah. Okay.
I always say like I was a pitcher, and so I always describe there's like 5 basic steps to pitching. And when you're a little kid and you're learning how to do that, you count every single step like as you go through it, and it doesn't look fluid at all. And like there's a reason for that, but it's repetition. And by the time you've done it for several years, it's a fluid motion, and like everything kind of makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to take 5 years for points, but it's just it's more just the kind of understanding the basics that allows you to kind of move through it more easily as you go.
Yeah. And what are some of those basics? And again, if you go, and I don't know if you've if in this context that's something that you can sort of share with
Sure.
listeners, but
Yeah. Again, speaking to a more like the US side of things, like we have a lot of transferable points programs, which means
yeah,
you can take the points you earn and transfer them to different airlines.
yeah,
It gives you the most flexibility. If one program doesn't have award space to help you book a flight, another one might. So it keeps your options open. That to me is kind of the backbone of a good credit card strategy. I know also in Canada you have Amex membership rewards points as well. Slightly different program than the US version, but same concept. So you have different partners you can transfer to.
yeah,
After that, it's like, learn airline alliances. So Air Canada and United are both in Star Alliance, and they can both book each other's flights as well as any flights in the Star Alliance network of airlines.
yeah.
And then they each have other individual partnerships with other airlines. So it's kind of learning how you kind of build out. You figure out who you can transfer to, and then you figure out what those points can book, and that's the real. I mean, that's the basics. It's obviously not as simple as 1, 2, 3, but you still have to find the flights. But those are the really basic things that I think
Okay.
people need to learn.
And what about like we've got credit card points on the one hand, which we've been talking about, and
Yep.
you were talking about airlines, but there's like airline loyalty programs on
Sure.
the other. So can you break down for like what's the difference between the two and how what we need to know to
Yeah.
maximize the benefit, right?
So if you travel for work and you stick with like one airline and one airline program, like that makes sense because you're trying to get status benefits. I don't think most people are traveling for work, at least not regularly enough to kind of actually earn high level
Yeah.
status. So a lot of times it makes more sense to just focus on booking the travel that you want. That's
Okay.
particularly the case if you're able to book business or first class with points because you're going to get all the benefits of like free check bags and lounge
Yeah.
access anyway, so you don't need the status for it. So if you earn points by flying, great. I just see it as a way to supplement. Both of them are supplementing your balances, however you do it. I focus on transferable points, but I think if you fly Air Canada a lot, you can, you know, you're not going to turn down earning points for flying. So you do
Yeah.
that as well as earn points that you can transfer
Yeah.
to Aeroplan. So yeah, it's just it all works together. I just don't think you have to worry about focusing entirely on like flying to earn.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Now, and just to give a little tease for our for the audience here, I mean, my understanding is you travel the world on point.
Yeah.
So, I like give a little bit a sense, I guess, about A, how achievable that is for the average person and what your experience has been.
Yeah, I think the average person can definitely get a trip a year, maybe two trips. I mean, you can definitely do more, I would say, pretty easily. Again, it just depends what your spend levels are,
Yeah.
like how many points you're earning, how much time you can take off of work,
Yeah.
or if you can work from abroad or something, like that's another way to do it. Yes, I mean, some of my experiences, I mean, I've been very fortunate. I mean, I've been to Taiwan, one of my favorite places, like
Oh,
four times over the years. I've been
yeah.
to Australia several times. I've been all over Europe,
Yeah.
all over the Middle East, parts of Africa. Yeah, it's just been, I mean, I think it's opened the world up to me. It's also, I actually think that you can make great friends while traveling because you
Yeah.
find other people who love it as well. And
Yeah.
I mean, it truly has allowed me to make some of my best friends just by being able to go somewhere and try something new and
Yeah.
just see who you run into.
I love traveling. And frankly, I think the world needs more of it now. I mean, we are in such a polarized place. And I find the more you travel, the more you realize we see the similarities. We're all people who love our families and want to do right. I mean, you start really respecting the differences in ways that I think can only kind of cure the rift that we're feeling around the world here
Yeah.
today, I think. So,
Yeah, I think food brings people together wherever you go.
mm,
So it's one of
that's
my
very
favorite
true.
parts of traveling is finding places to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you had one of your member stories, I think, that involved Taylor Swift thing. I saw this,
Oh
but
man.
I didn't get the
Yeah.
story, so I'm wanting
Oh
to hear
yeah.
it as well.
Yeah, I have an email newsletter where I send out opportunities to use points for business and first class flights, specifically on international routes. So generally crossing the Atlantic or Pacific, sometimes going down to South America. But I didn't realize this was going to become a thing, but so many of my members booked flights for my news, like flight deals that I would send out to
Yeah.
go see Taylor Swift in Europe and then South America. And it wasn't really on my radar. I know there's tons and tons of massive Taylor Swift fans. I'm not
Yeah,
against Taylor Swift. I
crazy.
just never really listened to the music, so I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of like how intense the following was. But I mean, just person after person kept emailing me, telling me that they used a flight deal that I said to go
Yeah.
see a Taylor Swift concert and how it was cheaper for them to like use points to fly to Europe and get tickets there. And I mean, it was just so
Oh,
funny to
I
like
did
see
hear
how that
that. People
it was.
flying around the world to, yeah.
Yeah, I was like that. I mean, I love a good arbitrage opportunity, and that to me was just amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had multiple readers at the same concert at the same time in other parts of the world. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is very cool. Although, my gosh, the Taylor Swift mania, like we could do a lot of like go to fundraisers and things like that, supporting the community, supporting causes where we
Yeah.
can. And the last couple of them we went to had tickets for Taylor Swift in their auctions. And by the time I stopped it, they were up to like $6,000 each people were paying to get a ticket to the Taylor Swift concert. I
Yeah,
was like,
I know.
it's just kind of
It's
mind blowing.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my one of my favorite stories. I mean, I also have like I've had families of like eight people book
Yeah.
business class together, which I think is really cool.
On
Just like,
points. That's
yeah,
just crazy. I'm going to be paying more attention now.
yeah.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you find that people make, would you say, or any tips for people on things to avoid?
Don't use your points on gift cards and other little things that
Ah,
banks or airlines try to get you to use them on. I just
yeah.
like points and miles are meant for travel. Focus on
Okay.
that. I think sometimes banks and airlines, they love to give you options and they say they're making it easier for you. And I'm like, easier for you, but like cheaper for them.
Okay.
And that's fine, whatever, I get it, but they're also just not telling you the best ways to use them. So that's where I
Yeah.
kind of see my role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think points are meant for travel. If you've got travel rewards points, like use them.
Okay.
But
Well,
also don't sit on them forever because you alluded to this earlier.
yeah.
devaluations happen, airlines will start charging more.
Yeah,
And so I always tell people it's not an appreciating asset, it's a depreciating
absolutely.
asset.
Oh,
So I'm not saying you should just like flippantly go use your points on every single flight. Like, yeah, be strategic. Think about, what travel you have coming up
yeah,
and say, okay, maybe this ticket is actually cheap with cash, so I'll pay that, but I'll use the points for this more expensive
yeah.
one later. That's fine. But don't just, you don't want to be sitting on them for years at a time.
That is a
Um,
great tip. I've never thought of it that way. It is a depreciating asset. And
yeah.
even just as you're saying that, I know I'm sort of going off, but same with hotel points. Like I can't tell you
Same
how many
thing.
times I have built up a huge roster of points
Yep.
thinking I'll take this big trip. And then there's a merger or the hotel buys another one out. Next thing you know, your
Yep.
points are worth a fraction of what they would have been had I used them,
Yep.
5 years ago. It's so
Yeah. And
frustrating.
we all run into it at some point, but that's the other part of why I say transferable points are so useful. If you are earning United miles in the US, just United miles and United devalues, well, now you may not have enough points to book
Uh,
the flight to Europe or to
yeah,
Japan or wherever.
yeah,
But if you'd been earning in the US, we have a Chase Ultimate Rewards from
yeah,
Chase Bank. You
yeah,
can transfer points to both Air Canada or United.
yeah,
And say United devalues, and so you can't book, let's say it's a Swiss Air flight
yeah,
to Europe because you don't have enough points, but oh, you have enough points with Air Canada. So you transfer them to Air Canada instead and you still get the flight. So it kind of insulates you from any given devaluation because you
yeah,
still have other options that may be more affordable.
yeah. Smart. Oh gosh, I'm excited about the opportunity to get all of it because again, the spending is so high, and you might as well, as you say, use it as a tool to
Yeah.
be getting greater value for both personally and professionally. Same for a lot of
Yep.
businesses. But
It's huge for business owners. I
yeah,
think it's honestly, it's almost like a little cheat code. If you
yeah,
have a business that and you're just spending money to keep it running, buying,
yeah,
whether it's supplies, running digital
yeah,
ads, like whatever it takes. I mean, I always say some businesses are just printing points. I mean, some businesses spend multi-millions of dollars on a credit card every year. And I'm just like,
yeah,
go use that to go travel when you're not
yeah.
actually, working.
Well, I want to challenge for our listeners out there, like it just, as Spencer was saying that, think of the businesses out there, and do you fall in this category with all of these high expenditures that you are doing nothing with and getting nothing for? It just makes common sense to be taking that same expenditure that you're going to be using anyhow and find a way to maximize that value for it to be able to get that personal travel or business travel to wrap it back up in the business, whatever works for you. I think that's
Yeah.
fabulous. Now, I want to circle back to your newsletter. And for our listeners,
Yeah.
Spencer had mentioned about the newsletter that he has. We're going to be giving you special links as well, so don't fuss if you're busy right now or whatever. We'll make sure in the show notes that you've got access to the links. But tell us a little bit more about why it would benefit somebody to jump onto your newsletter. What can they do?
Sure. So we often talk about like the hunt for award space, and that's because airlines will sell you any ticket for cash. They will not let you book any ticket with points. Sometimes they'll release one award seat,
Yeah,
sometimes two, sometimes none, sometimes eight. It depends on the day. Some airlines
that's
are
true.
relatively predictable with it, and others have no pattern whatsoever.
Yeah,
So it's a game, and like anything, the more time and energy you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
yeah,
I find that most people don't have that kind of time.
yeah,
They're raising kids, working,
of course.
having hobbies that they actually want to spend time on. So I send the dates that can be booked, and then I break down like the best ways to book it. So like, do you want to use Aeroplan or do you want to use United to book it? Do you want to,
Wow.
for another alliance like One World, do you want to use American Miles or Alaska Miles or
Yeah,
British Airways Avios? And like, so I kind of give you exactly what you can book and then explain how you should book it based on what points you might have.
okay.
Just to, it's I try to be the easy button for people.
Yeah,
I
I
think
was
that's
just
like
gonna
a
say, so you do all the crappy legwork that most of us hate to
yeah.
do. I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
I find it fun and interesting to like dig around and see what you can find. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I just try to make that easier. I explain how you need to search for the award space, and yeah, the idea is just you can just wait for an email to come in, see if it fits what travel you want to do, and go book it. And I often tell people like at some point I'm going to hit the region and the dates that you want to go over the course of a
yeah.
year. Like I'm going to get there because I just send 3 to 5 a week. So it's like you're
Wow.
gonna it's I take pride in this, but it's like I always say I'm not going to send you something just to say that I sent you something.
Yeah.
I don't like everybody's inboxes are filled with junk, and I have no interest in adding to it. So
Yeah.
if I send you something, it's actually worth looking at, is how I look at
Okay.
it.
All right. So if I was knowing I wanted to travel and I had some flexibility about what that would look like, your newsletter would give me a bunch of options that I can either go, yes, that's the one, and then you've kind of got the
Yep.
legwork already done for me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. What a great, much better than politics. You made a great choice. That's
Yeah, I know. It's people are usually happier to talk to me now. No. What do you
yeah,
do? And they're like, politics? No, that's okay. I'm gonna go somewhere else now.
yeah,
Now
that's
now they
fabulous.
actually want to hear about it.
Yeah. Now we're, as I say to our listeners, we're going to have those links up for you to be able to go to make sure that you get on that newsletter list. And where else would you like me to direct people to learn more about you, Spencer, and what you do?
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram. It's straight to the points is the handle. Yeah, I'm on there creating content here and there and direct
Perfect.
messaging with people and just yeah, any you have questions, shoot me a message.
Okay, and we'll make sure to add that onto the show notes as well. And I can't, this has gone really quick and it's got me all excited about the opportunities. And I want to leave our listeners with a challenge as well to think if this has piqued your interest at all, to be able to, at the very least, go and check right now, what cards do you have? What points are available on those cards? What could you maybe do a little bit better or tweak? Whether you want to jump into the deep end as Spencer's done, or even just to kickstart the process so that you're not spending money and getting nothing and leaving these free travel opportunities on the table for to what end. So, and I normally like to end, Spencer, by asking, what's one of the greatest mindset shifts that you've had in your life? That not, it doesn't have
Oh,
to be about travel at all. One of those aha moments that makes you think differently, show up differently.
it's very Nike-esque, I think, or it's just do it. Like, and I say that because I don't
Yeah.
love solo travel, but I've done a
Yeah.
number of solo trips. I know some people love it. It's not really my thing, but I've done it multiple times and for 3 weeks at a time or 2 weeks at a
Wow.
time. So I would say I'm a relatively shy person, even though I like talking with people. I
Yeah.
just don't like interrupting. So traveling solo has definitely forced me to just kind of go for it, talk to people, make friends, stuff like that. So yeah,
Oh, that's great. I love it. Just do it. Nike, yes, that's funny.
yeah.
And again, for our listeners, I want to, one of the things we've been dancing around and talking about travel, but if we have listeners in the audience here today who don't travel or prioritize travel, I really, really encourage and invite you to do it. It is some of the best experiences of my life, some of the best growth I've ever had in my life have been through travel. And we tend to be a society in North America where it's always, we're taught to value nose to the grindstone. We almost martyr ourselves, all kind of bragging, if we're really being honest with ourselves, about how we don't have time. I'm so busy. And I know in the legal profession, we're terrible, right? Oh my gosh, I would, 2,200 hours a year, billable hours. And went, for the love of God, take some time to travel and experience the world and allow yourself to rediscover yourself in the process. So Spencer, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your insights. And I certainly hope our listeners take you up on your generous newsletter offers. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Cindy. I appreciate it.
And for our listeners, I know there's been loads of value here. I know, like I keep saying, my mind's going in a ton of directions. As soon as we're signing off here, I'm going to go pull out all my cards and get myself more organized. I'm definitely going to be signing up for Spencer's newsletter myself. But I hope at the very least, this has really piqued your interest to think, hey, this is a possibility for me. There is a possibility there where I can get more travel without having to be out of pocket, just using money I'm already spending in more effective ways. Make sure to give the gift of sharing as well. I always say subscribe if you haven't, but give the gift, share this episode with other people in your life who spend a lot in business or in their personal lives and maybe are not getting the benefit out of that. And before we sign off today, just a few ways that we can work together. If you're looking to uplevel your negotiation skills to negotiate your best life, I've got everything from online to group to my signature VIP and mastermind experiences to help you get more of what you want and deserve in life. If that sounds interesting, check it out at artoffemininenegotiation.com. And if you haven't got my book yet of the same name, for heaven's sake, please do The Art of Feminine Negotiation. Loads of tips there about how to negotiate your best life. And that's a wrap for this episode. So until next time, go forth and negotiate your best life on your terms so you can stop missing out and you can start getting more of what you want and deserve from the boardroom to the bedroom. Until next time, take care.